Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm super excited, you guys. Come on in the room, come on in the room. If you're following on one of my other pages, please come on over to LL Anderson Coaching because I can't see your comments. So sometimes I have to go and I have to find the comments on other pages. So if you're on any of my other pages, please just go ahead and come on over to LL Anderson Coaching. Good morning. Happy morning. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, guys. I'm really excited about today. We're about to go in about self-reflection. I want to know how you guys did over the weekend. How was Freedom Friday for you guys? When I tell you guys, I have been so motivated. Good morning, Jed. I've had so many amazing things happen. So again, if you are on any of the other pages and it's not LL Anderson Coaching, come on over here to LL Anderson Coaching. Again, I'm telling you guys, almost every morning it seems like I have technical difficulties and I don't like it. So again, if you're just tuning in and you're on any of my other pages, good morning, Don. Come on over to LL Anderson Coaching because I realize I can't see your comments until after the video is over. So come on into LL Anderson Coaching. We're about to get ready and get started, and we are about to talk about self-reflection, pain, and power, right? Because so many great things had taken place and so many things had started to happen that it was kind of like over the weekend I started getting not bombarded, a little bit overwhelmed because of the reply. So what I decided to do for you guys is, hey Veronica, hey, how are you? What I decided to do for you guys and everybody who watches is that I am going to have an ebook for pretty much everything that I do, and it'll be on my website, and it'll be like anywhere from $3 to $7. And I am just going to, so that way you can follow along. I had somebody ask me about notes and everything. So y'all, I already have the notes. So you can go to my page, latishaanderson.org, click the ebook that you want to keep the notes with or you want to follow along with. Today is self-reflection, pain over power. Y'all hear me? I am really excited and we're about to get started. So we all know what self-reflection is, but we're going to go into that because what I started to realize was that many people were in the process of self-reflection and they didn't understand what self-reflection meant. Like a lot of people think that self-reflection is this happy-go-lucky feeling, and it's not. Self-reflection is pain and power. And we're going to discuss what that means. We're going to discuss what the pain of self-reflection is and how the power of self-reflection can be deadly. So you got to understand everything that sounds good, not good for you. So we're going to start with some definitions of self-reflection, and then we're going to go from there because I'm really excited. Now, let me tell you guys something else, right? So one day this week, between now and Wednesday, I'm going to try to do a Latisha live on the beach, right? Because we're here in Daytona. I know they said a storm was coming, but it didn't happen, right? So, and I want to do like a morning sunrise type of thing. I just haven't quite, I got to ask Google what time the sun going to rise so I can do it at the right time because I think that's so important. You guys have to understand what it means to get away, what it means to be empowered. You got to find your quiet place. You got to find your private place. You got to find your place of peace. Because when you're in this empowerment mode, when you're in this mindset matter mode, when you're doing these things, you have to understand that with self-reflection and anything that has to do with you changing your mindset, pain is coming. That's a given. It's the thing that pain has always been there. The problem is that we've become numb to it. Remember, the dysfunction has conditioned us to believe that this is what we're supposed to be doing. And that is not so. So we're going to discuss self-reflection. And here's the definition of self-reflection. Self-reflection is the activity of thinking about your own feelings and behavior and the reasons that may lie behind them. So self-reflection is you honestly not saying what somebody else did to you, but you authentically saying, why did I do that? Why did I react like that? Why did I respond like that? Why do I handle myself that way? That is what self-reflection is. That is absolutely true, Don. That is what self-reflection is. Self-reflection is when you sit and ask yourself, why am I? Not why did somebody else? Not why, no. Why did I? Why is this my behavior? Why is this my reaction? Why is this my response? That's the importance of self-reflection. But the thing about self-reflection is that it manifests pain. Because then you realize you've been doing this a long time. Not only you, but pretty much everything connected to you. Because you're going to realize that these behaviors didn't just show up yesterday. These behaviors didn't just show up a week ago. These things have been traits you've had since your childhood. Remember, I told you that we are always conditioned. Life conditioned us. Our family, our peers and our friends, our religion, Oh yeah, it conditions us, as well as like our economics and our social behavior. All of this conditions us. And so we indoctrinate these behaviors, these responses, these replies, because we have been conditioned to believe that this is what this is, that this is what we're supposed to do. So again, guys, come on in. For those of you who are just coming in, remember to come to my L. Anderson coaching page, because I realize I don't see everybody's comments. Okay, so thank you again. So we're talking about self-reflection. And that's what's really been happening. I remember a while ago, about 2 weeks ago or so, I began to ask everybody, what did you learn? What were you doing? And the one thing that stood out to me was Miss Susan's comment when she was like, I'm realizing the dysfunction. That's self-reflection. Because now you realize this is not normal behavior, but this is abnormal behavior. And a lot of times you fight so hard not to be like somebody or not to be like something, that what starts to happen is you end up being just like the very thing that you're desiring not to be, because you haven't given yourself an outlet. You haven't given yourself an out. So every time, like if you have a child and you're like, oh my God, you're not going to be like your daddy, they probably going to end up being like their daddy, because you haven't given them an outlet. All you've done is show them an example of what not to be. And the only time you've acknowledged it is when they've been the thing that you told them not to be. So guess what they're going to be? The very thing that you told them not to be, because you haven't given any other examples. And that's self-reflection. Because somebody has told you for so long, you got a bad attitude, you this, you that, you conform to it. And then you start to act accordingly, because you've assessed this to be true, without realizing that your life, that your situation, that circumstances have conditioned you to believe that you're the nasty one with the nasty behavior, with the nasty mouth, that you're the disrespectful one, that you're the mean one, that you're the hateful one. And so when you begin to get into that self-reflection mode, it pulls you not from the life you want, but it sits you in your reality. And that's when the pain starts to manifest. And sometimes you start to remember stuff you didn't remember before. Sometimes you start to feel stuff you didn't feel before. Sometimes you start to interact in certain ways you didn't remember interacting. Why? Because self-reflection makes you get personal with the situation. It makes you become so engulfed in it that it's almost like it's icky. Because many of you didn't even realize that that's dysfunctional. The way I carry myself, the way I speak, the way I handle certain situations, the reason I act a certain way. And when you're in self-reflection mode, the pain starts to manifest, because we have been conditioned. Listen, some of us have lived in households that you don't discuss what happened in the house. So we learn how to sweep that stuff under the rug and pat it down real good, and nobody really see it until it's no more room. But the thing is, by the time there's no more room, you no longer see it, because it's become a way of life for you. When you're in self-reflection, you realize, I can't hide from this stuff under this pillow. I can't hide from this stuff under this rug. I can't hide from this anymore, because it's so big, it's confining me to this one spot. I don't even know how long ago I started talking about the elephant in the room. And why you have to address the elephant in the room, because if you don't address it, you will never be free. You will always be attached to it. Addressing the elephant produces the freedom that you desire, but you're not going to get that freedom if you do not address it. That's what self-reflection is. Self-reflection is addressing the elephant in the room. But y'all don't want to do that. You know why you don't want to address the elephant? Because of the pain that it causes. Because of the pain of self-reflection. And so what happens in between the pain of self-reflection and the power? Because you got to understand, remember, dysfunction replicates. I'm going to tell y'all something about power. It's going to be so good. So as you begin to self-reflect, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself, how has dysfunction defined me? Because this week I want y'all to get a mirror. They sell mirrors at like the Dollar Tree, or you can get a mirror in your house, but you never know when it's going to hit you, when that moment going to hit you. So have one in your purse if you can. They at the Dollar Tree, right? How has dysfunction defined me? Not how you define, how has dysfunction defined me? Has dysfunction defined me as an angry person? As a mean person? Has dysfunction told me that my self-esteem so low that it's just there? What has dysfunction defined you as? Because you already know where the dysfunction at. Now, what is the reflection of that dysfunction? People didn't want to talk to me, y'all. People didn't want to be around me. I told y'all this mouth of mine was sharp. My dysfunction was I had the ability. I told you I can cuss you out and never say one cuss word. But when I'm done, you're going to bleed everywhere. Because I had so much hurt in me that I knew how to hurt you back. Mind you, it didn't matter if I shot everybody in the room. Long as I got you. And then everything else attached to you. That's how I thought. Dysfunction told me that that was okay. It don't matter if they think you mean. They do you that, so you do them the same way. So dysfunction, again, replicates. Because it's sent to do what? Dysfunction is sent to do what? The virus of dysfunction is sent to shut down the network and or the system. Because it don't want you to get to your purpose. It wants you to stay in a dysfunctional mindset. So as you begin to self-reflect, as you begin to sit on these things, now I want you to ask yourself, whose view do you see? When you look in the mirror, whose view do you see? Do you see who they say you are? Do you see who you say you are? Do you see who you ought to be? Because when you're self-reflecting, all this stuff start coming. Most of us don't want to deal with our reality and our right now. So we don't like the real us. So we try to focus on the ideal us, the one that we dress up for Facebook, the one that we dress up for social media. That's the one we want to focus on. Where we taking all the happy pictures because I don't want nobody in my business. That includes you. You don't want to acknowledge your real business. Now, I'm not telling y'all to get on here and whine and cry because somebody always want attention. That's not what I'm telling you. But I'm telling you, if you live in the mindset of that ideal you all the time, you will never acknowledge the real you. And then the real you is your strength. And the real you is your empowerment. But if you stay in the ideal you because you don't want to acknowledge the real you, you're going to not make it to the true ideal you. Because you have to sit in your truth. What have we learned? Acknowledge, accept, embrace, and evolve. Acceptance gives you the power to sit in your truth. Why? Because the truth is the gift. But in self-reflection, the truth hurts. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to see that. I don't like how that feels. I don't like how that makes me feel. So how can I not just, this pain hurts because it's a metamorphosis. Remember, I told you there has to be a transformation, and in transformation, a death has to take place. You got to die. Listen, dysfunction, the virus, cannot live in a dead host. It has to be a living host. How do I kill dysfunction? When you embrace your truth. That's how we got to do it. We got to embrace our truth. But what do you see? Because sometimes people can be like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. And you tear that down so fast. I'm telling you, people would compliment my lips, right? And I was like, these cats got to be crazy. These big old things. They're like, oh my God. My husband did. I was like, he must be doing some, these things is ridiculous. I can't say that now, honey, because I'm in love with him. But before, because I didn't know who I was. Because when I looked in the mirror, I saw a big lip, big head person. So when people complimented me, I didn't know how to take that. So I pushed it away. Because I realized I didn't believe the ideal me. I just walked in it. And I didn't want to address the real me because that was painful. So what am I supposed to do now? How do I move from step to step to step to step? When you standing in that mirror, what do you see? Who do you see? Who do you connect most with in your self-reflection? Do you connect most with your dysfunction? Because that pities you and it keeps you in a weak state of mind. Oh yeah, you a victim. Nobody will never understand you. That's why should it even matter? You're who they say you are. And so dysfunction feeds that. And that's how it grows. So when you stand in the mirror and you're looking at yourself, top to bottom, head to feet, who and what do you see? How has dysfunction defined you? Why do you push away any positive reflection of yourself? When you realize it don't have nothing to do with nobody else, but the fact that I believe the lies that I've been told. The fact that I believe the dysfunction that has been placed and that I've been conditioned to believe. So it sits there. But because you don't want to acknowledge that, You don't want to talk about that. You don't know how that feels. So what you're going to do is you're going to tell yourself, you know what? Let me kind of get this thing together. So now what's starting to happen in the midst of this is that you got to ask yourself, can I handle my reflection? How many of you can authentically handle your reflection? I want somebody to talk to me, y'all. I need y'all to talk to me, because this I knew the day was going to be heavy. That's why I'm glad I'm doing it on the beach, because I knew it was going to be heavy. Can you handle your self-reflection? Can you handle your truth? Because I don't think you can. As a matter of fact, I know you can't, because of the pain of it. The pain of your truth. The pain of the dysfunction. You can't stay numb to it. Because if you stay numb to it, nothing gonna happen. Nothing ever gonna take place. You're just gonna be sitting there looking like you're looking. So what starts to happen is, as you continue to move forward, as you continue to grow, you can't go but so far, because you have yet to sit in your truth. Self-reflection is pain, y'all. Self-reflection is pain. And you don't want to deal with the pain because it hurts. It's like a death. Because now I got to grieve some stuff I ain't want to grieve no more. See, in self-reflection, grief has to come. It's a must. Because most of us don't grieve properly anyways. We push back. We push it back. We push it back. We push it back. Because we don't want to self-reflect on our truth. We don't want to self-reflect on where we're at right now, and it's ugly. Self-reflection make you stand in it, and it don't feel good at all. And it hurts. And the pain tell you, just let it be. Don't go no further. It's like I told y'all once before, if you pull your arm out of socket, when you go to the doctor and stuff, listen, they got to pop it back in place. It hurts. It hurted when it came out of socket, and it's going to hurt when you put it back. And some of you've been so out of joint with your truth that what's starting to happen is that you've become numb to it. So you don't realize. Let me give y'all an example. I was helping somebody move furniture. I ain't going to say her name. And she let the sofa go, and I still had it. And my arm went, like it pulled it, right? And I was like, oh man, you hurt my arm, right? So again, a situation happened. You acknowledge that there was pain in that moment, but I kept moving. We finished doing what we had to do. I got in the house. I was like, oh, that feel a little bad. That really did hurt, but I let it go. I started to become conditioned to the pain, because every time I kept trying to move my arm back, I couldn't. It hurt like crazy. 2 months later, I am not exaggerating, 2 months, I went to get a massage. And I said, every time I move my arm, it hurt. I can only take it back so far. So make sure you massage it right there. The girl went to lift my arm, and my arm popped. Pow! Like it sound. In my head, I said, this girl broke my arm. That's what I said. We were doing a couples massage, my husband and I. Him and the other therapist. Look, it was so loud. It was like, pow! And I was in my head, oh, this girl done broke my arm. She put it back in place. She had to, because some of y'all this is gonna be unaware. The adjustment has to take place, because I had operated in it so long that I would just not turn that way. That's how dysfunction have you. Dysfunction conditions you not to maneuver from a different place. It teaches you to just don't go that way. Don't say that. But self-reflection make you get in the face of it. Some of you going to have to reflect on some injuries that took place that were designed. Remember, the virus is sent to shut down the network and the system. So as you begin to get into that self-reflecting mode, it hurts, guys. Nothing about self-reflection, nothing at all. Nothing about self-reflection feels good. But now we got to talk about something else, because now we into the pain. And the definition of pain is a feeling of physical suffering caused by injury and or illness. So now the pain of my self-reflection is that I have to understand that there was an injury that had taken place. There was, oh my God, there was an illness. Remember, dysfunction is a virus that had taken place. So as I sit in my self-reflection mode, the pain of the suffering of the dysfunction that took place in my life, it hurts and I don't like it. This don't feel good. I don't want to remember the injury. I just maneuver my life. I'll condition my life where I don't have to deal with the injury. I don't want to discuss the illness. Even though I'm bleeding everywhere I go, I don't want to discuss my illness. I don't want nobody to touch my illness. It's just like, it reminds me of my dad. My dad had diabetes really, really bad, y'all. Like really bad. Diabetes killed him, okay? And he get mad at me when I be like, Daddy, you can't eat that. You can't do that. And he be like, oh my God, I can do what I want to do. And I'm staring at him as I watch diabetes take his life. But because he didn't want somebody to acknowledge, dude, bruh, this killing you. He wasn't trying to hear it. He felt like it was disrespectful. So after a while, people shut down. They're not going to keep coming and trying to help you. They're going to shut down because you don't want nobody to touch the injury. So you spill your illness on everybody because you don't want to touch the illness. Remember, I told us dysfunction, most of us are asymptomatic, meaning we don't show signs of the symptoms anymore, but we give it to everybody else. We give it to our children. We give it to those closest to us. We pass that dysfunction down from generation to generation because we become asymptomatic. And because nobody wants to address the illness, it grows. So that little bit of stuff that used to work, how you used to run to the altar and think that was it, that ain't working no more because you have not dealt with the root of it. You just keep pruning hedges. You got to get to it, get in it. You got to feel that thing. You got to let that thing know this is not. In order for you to fully have freedom, you have to address it. There has to be such a self-reflection in you that you're like, you know what? My truth hurt and it stinks. It does not feel good. But the only way I'm going to get where I need to be is I got to stand here and acknowledge that it's what? That it's me. What are the 4 pillars? Acknowledge, accept, embrace, and evolve. Acknowledge that it's you. That's self-reflection. Accept that it's you. That's self-reflection. Embrace that it's you. That's self-reflection. And evolve from that now into your truth. That's self-reflection. When you realize mindset is everything about you controlling you, not nobody else. I can't control situations, but I can control how they try to control me. That I can control. I don't have to succumb to the situation. Self-reflection gives you the power to acknowledge that, you know what, you out of order. This is abnormal behavior. But you don't want nobody to tell you that. Because in some instances, because our dysfunction is so strong in what it does, it creates a power. And we're going to talk about that power. Because power is deadly, especially when you're dysfunctional. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. How do you define your suffering? What does the suffering look like to you? What does the illness look like to you? What does the injury look like to you? Because some of you still don't get it. See, I was violated. I was molested, because violated sound kind of, no, I was molested. I was literally, listen to me, because some of y'all need it wrong. A grown man had intercourse with me when I was 3 years old. He told me he would teach me how to play mommy and daddy. That's the injury. That's where the injury took place. The illness started to manifest when I assumed that that was the only way that I could get somebody to like me. But I didn't know that that's what it was. So then he decided I was not good enough anymore because I kind of got bigger. So he brought my cousin, who was a baby, in. Because some of y'all don't get, because you don't want to acknowledge the injury. I may not remember the day that it happened, but I remember everything I was wearing when it happened. And I didn't know what to do, because he told me if I said anything, my dad was going to go to jail and it was going to be my fault. Remember that? So that's the injury. And so I learned how to maneuver my life trying to figure out what was going on. How in the world? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? So for a long time, if you try to have any type of relationship, any type of anything like that with me, no, like not no sexual relationship. No, we can't do that. Because the illness told me that there was something wrong with that. But the illness also had symptoms, and mine was promiscuousness, because I had never verbally acknowledged the injury. But I just knew that something would happen, and I feel a certain type of way, and I need to go get this handled, and then I'll come back. And I started leaking it everywhere. And then I found something I loved to do, and that was dancing. But I would always because I didn't know when this thing was going to manifest, I didn't realize that the root of it was rejection, and that I had felt rejected by my violator when he no longer wanted me because I was too old, I guess. The illness, the symptoms, the pain of self-reflection. It does not feel good, but it does not define me. Because see, some of y'all don't want to go to that place. Why was I angry? Why did my attitude change? So now I'm being violated and molested. My father is beating my mother, and my grandma, who I love, y'all know I love my grandma, she dysfunctional too. She didn't know it. So now she's being abusive verbally with her mouth. But not only my grandma, my aunties, and then me and my cousins, we are dysfunctioning like they dysfunctioning. So we got this illness at each other, and we're injuring each other. Because nobody know that this ain't the proper behavior. And because so much dysfunction took place, and nobody said nothing. That's why when people are like, oh, we got a generational curse, you got generational silence. Say something, open your mouth, stop not talking about it. The freedom is in you releasing the word of the truth. It may hurt. I'm playing with my cousins, not even knowing that they had been violated by the same person. Didn't even know my cousins before me that were older than me had been violated. Didn't even know my mom had been violated. Didn't even know my grandma. And technically it's hard to say my grandma was violated because she got married when she was like 12 or 13. But because they did that back then. Didn't realize that my grandmother had been in an abusive relationship, which explains why my aunties then were in abusive relationships. I didn't know that one of my cousins was that my uncle would, it was so much that we didn't even realize. But when you self-reflect, it makes you get to the root of your issue. My issue was not that I was angry. It was not that I had to keep running to let me tell you something. I read the scripture today because I always do like a morning read. And you got to understand something. Some of y'all keep trying to go to a ground that's already been tilled. That ain't your position. That's not your foundation. You got to go where it ain't been tilled. What are you edifying? If I'm going to go through this lesson, it's going to empower not only me, but somebody else. But because dysfunction got you wanting power. And let me explain to you what power is, because power is not empowerment. Those are two different things. Power, the definition of power is to gain control over people or events. Let me tell you how that dysfunction turned that power into this negative, deadly thing. Because I had been violated so young, he was not the only person. Right? So because I had been violated so young, this thing in me to have power and control over men, oh yeah, you're not going to ever get the best of me. See how dudes are able to lay with a female and not have no never mind about it and don't think about her again ever? See, that was me. That was who I was. I knew what it was like to call her. That's when I realized men don't like what women do. They don't like it when women give it back. I didn't care because I wanted power. I had to control the moment. Because I kept saying, you are not damn another one gonna ever get me like that again. So I controlled the narrative. I controlled when you was and when you was not gonna get what I had. Because when I was 3, I didn't have a choice. Do you see how power can be deadly and dysfunctional? Because it numbs you to your truth. Empowerment is self-reflection. Because it allows you to gain control over your life and your rights. It makes you stronger and more confident in truth. Power wants you to control people and events. Perverts want to control people and events. You got, I hope y'all understand. I'm not even really like paying attention. This not even in my notes, I promise. But I feel this. Some of you are operating in a deadly power because fear, the injury, the illness, the thing that you're suffering is causing you to create a dysfunctional power. So you want to control the situation because you don't want nobody else to control you. But nobody else want to be around you. Nobody else want to talk to you. They don't know, because you don't know, that you are literally asymptomatic. Asymptomatic. And you don't have a clue. You don't know how you got there. You don't know what happened. You don't have a clue. So how do I get past the pain and the power? You're not. That's what we get into. Self-reflection. You cannot skip the pain and the power of the pain. You cannot. Because wherever the injury took place, that power took over. He took over. My violator took over. His power was to control me and the events. And so I mimicked him, just in a different way. Some of you now don't want to be. It's so quiet where you're at. It's echoing. How in the world is this girl able to talk about this man sleeping with her? Because baby, that don't control me no more. No ma'ams, no sirs. That does not control me. My other violator died. So I be doggone if he gonna control me from the grave. When you self-reflect, when he died, and I started crying, that was my moment then. I had to self-reflect. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. And that's when it came to me. Who's your puppet master? Who's controlling your emotions, your reactions, and your responses? Who is holding the strings in your life? Who determines how you walk, how you talk, how you move your hands? Who has power over you and your events? Remember, life has two ways. You either in life as a situation, which is something you find yourself in, or you're in life as a journey, which is something you travel from place to place. I journey through life. Even those things I could not control was still my journey. Because if I had stayed there, I would have found myself in that situation over and over and over and over and over again. When women are in abusive relationships and then they leave and then they get in another one and then they leave and they get another, because they keep finding themselves in situations because they become conditioned. Let me tell y'all something. Abusers know who to target. They're predators. Predators know how to do this. That's how violators know which kids will say something and which ones won't. And a lot of times the ones y'all think won't say nothing, that will say something, won't. Most people who have been violated are very strong people. But a predator or pedophile is able to see the weakness and the way they can get in, and they know how to get in. I can't make you want to, but I can show you how to. And self-reflection is the time of pain and power. But that's the only way you'll become empowered. I had to realize that's why I wanted to dominate everything, because at a young age it was taken away from me. My choices were taken away from me. It was not that I wanted to be rebellious. It was because I remember not having a choice. Who wants at 3-year-old a grown man to have intercourse with him? Because I need y'all to understand, this was not no fondling. I need y'all to get this. So as I got older, I didn't even know if it meant if I was a virgin or not, because it was involuntarily. Something so precious to me was taken. It was ripped away from me. I was raped of my innocence. How do you self-reflect that? Because it was not my fault. It was not. But how long am I going to let that thing control my decisions in my now? So I cried about it because I had the right to. I grieved about it. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to grieve it. You got to, baby. In order for you to heal and for that thing to come up, there has to be a grieving, because that thing got to die. You cannot walk in freedom if you're still chained to it. It was not your fault. I had to tell myself that. Tisha, this wasn't your fault. It's a mirror right here. You guys can't see it, but it's a mirror right here where the closet is at. And I just want you guys to find a mirror or whatever you're looking at, something close, even if you have to do your hand like this. As a matter of fact, if you can, type it in the little things. It was not my fault. The injury was not your fault. The injury was not your fault. The illness was not your fault. What you didn't know is that it was already in your bloodline, because you all done passed it down from generation to generation to generation. Asystematic. Each generation becomes a little bit stronger. That's how viruses get worse. They learn how to morph themselves and mimic until they figure out, hey, how I can shut down this system and this network. Remember, it was not my fault. That's right, Miss Susan. It was not my fault. I need y'all to say that, because you got to understand it was not your fault. The words that somebody spoke over you, to you, and about you, that was not your fault. That's their stuff. See, I know what it's like to be called a hoe in the 5th grade, which makes me 10. I know what that feel like. And I had not voluntarily had intercourse, but I was a whore. That wasn't a stranger who told me that at all. It was a family member. Oh, but when you self-reflect, and I realized that it was the dysfunction that she had went through, because somebody told her it was her fault that she got violated. When you self-reflect, what it does is it allows you to strip away judgment, not only of yourself, but of other people. When you operate in the power of judgment, that's you always trying to control and gain power because you think you know something about somebody. Self-reflection strips away that judgment that we tend to operate in, because you think your dysfunction not as bad as the next person's dysfunction. Baby, if you building prisons of dysfunction in your kids, it's bad. I don't care what you think it is. It's bad, because you're not trying to be rehabilitated. My heart, like, y'all, it's just heavy. Like, I wish I had like a little button on here and I can just have y'all go. Breathe through the pain. I had 3 kids, no medicine, right? No epidural, no nothing, y'all, nothing. And they teach you what? We gonna deliver this baby. I know it hurt, but honey, I know it hurt, but you gotta. Self-reflection don't feel good, but I need you to. The power that I've been trying to gain is dysfunctional. I need you to forgive yourself. I need you to release it and let it go. That's release the judgment of yourself. Let it go. Stop trying to hold somebody else accountable. Let it go. Your strength comes in the release And when releasing the truth, it always hurts. Some of y'all truth, you like it's going to destroy the family. The truth, the hidden truth has destroyed the family. The hidden truth is you're going to find out you weren't the only one. That's the hidden truth. But if somebody had released it, it may not have traveled as far as it did. Self-reflection removes the judgment. Self-reflection removes the guilt. Self-reflection gives clarity. Self-reflection, oh my God, it gives peace, even in the pain. Self-reflection gives you the empowerment to see. Anyone can encourage you, but not everyone is equipped to empower you. That means that it has to come with something. This here, me doing this is, I can do this. I know this. But if you don't apply these tools, resources to this thing, it ain't even gonna matter. You're gonna still be in the same situation. It don't even matter. So when someone asks me, hey, is the way I can get the notes, is the way I can do this, it's not always about the money. That's why I was like, this self-reflection right here, what we're doing right now, I already created an ebook because they asked. The ebook is $5, y'all. You know why? Because I'm that person. What she said, I got to write this down because I have to write it. That's me. I'm not trying to leave y'all out here like this. When I tell you this is my love, I'm in my field, this is what I do. But when I tell you mindset matters, that's what I mean. You see how I'm able to talk about this stuff and I ain't crying and weeping and wailing? Because I am free. And because I became self-aware. Because remember, self-aware is your empowerment. But in order for me to be self-aware, I had to self-reflect that I had injured so many other people unintentionally because I wanted power. Because I didn't never want to feel like somebody else was going to come in and take something from me that was so precious. I love y'all like I love y'all. And I was like, this going to be heavy. This going to be deep. You know, I knew it was going to be this way. Because now it's going to come up. And this week, y'all, I'm telling y'all, I want you to journal. Get you a journal. I promise I'm working on getting some stuff. But I need you to get a journal. And I need you to begin to write down. Because in the midst of self-reflection, the pain comes up. It manifests. Now it's more obvious. That's why the frustration becomes more obvious. But let me tell y'all something. Don't be out here trying to tell everybody what's going on in your life. Because when you self-reflect and people don't understand that, they still trying to see you in that ought to be state. What they feel you ought to be. Remember? Carl Rogers. The real you, the ideal you, and the ought to be you. That one. Hold it. When I was going through my self-reflection, I had to learn I couldn't tell everybody. Because they'll turn around and re-injure me. Because they remember when. I had such an empowering weekend when those that were closest to me, like real close to me, and they started quoting the stuff that I was telling you guys on the live. Like, I get emotional with that. Because some of the hardest people to recognize the change are those that are closest to you. It's not intentional. It's just that they know the impact that the injury had on your life, and they were the ones who received the ugly side of the power. So you can say you've changed, but when they really see it, and they started quoting stuff, and they started saying the stuff that I was saying on the live, and I wanted to cry. But I felt so strong because that let me know, even though I already knew, but that let me know in that moment, baby, you healed, girl. You healed. You doing it. You doing it. Y'all know I'm going to celebrate. So love your now. The self-reflection, that's pain and power. Pain and power. Just remember that. Breathe through it. Push through the contraction. That stuff hurt. Because ain't no numbing medicine. We ain't got no epidural for you. This is truth. This is your truth. Ain't no epidural coming. Ain't nobody poking you. Because you've been numb to the dysfunction so long. You need to feel the truth of your now. So y'all, this was so heavy. And I always try not to like leave on like a crazy note. And I had tuck a note down. Because that's really all I got for y'all. Y'all was talking to me today. Festus was talking to me. Oh, yeah, guys, so cool. So we have so many people on here from Nigeria. It's just the coolest thing. I'm telling you, it's just so amazing. Because you have to understand that one thing about mindset is that it's everywhere. Like, no, it don't just go certain places. That is everywhere. Everywhere. You hear me? So we are all being influenced. We are all being impacted by certain things in our lives. But we all can relate on some level. So I want to leave y'all with this note. Now the question is, am I going to find my note? Because it was real good, y'all. It was so good. It was so good. This is it. This is what I want you to change your view. I need you to understand your view. A lot of times in life, the view we see is not our own. We have been conditioned to the dysfunction of our situations. Thus, we conform to a false truth. You are more than, honey. That's factual. Because we've allowed the condition of dysfunction to determine our truth. That's fake. That's false. So I'm going to say that to y'all again. A lot of times in life, the view we see is not our own. In that self-reflection, that's not your truth. That's that dysfunction. In that self-reflection, that's that injury. That's that illness. But that is not your truth. We have been conditioned to the dysfunction of our situations. Remember, situations are things we find ourselves in. Thus, we conform to a false truth. Some of y'all operating in it right now because you've believed the dysfunction of your situation. Well, I'm like this because my mama was like this, and my daddy was like this, and I'm going to be like this. You're choosing that because that's a lie. That's a false truth. Well, it happened to my daddy and them, and they had to learn. So this, no. See, no, that's a false truth. As a matter of fact, the stuff you believe in is abnormal behavior. We got to do better than that. That is not your truth. That is not your truth. How are we going to rectify where we at? You got to self-reflect. You have to self-reflect. Because if you don't self-reflect, you're going to self-destruct. And that's what's happening. You injuring people. You bleeding all over people. You got all this stuff going on in your life. And you asymptomatic. You around here carrying the dysfunction and don't even know you spilling it out. But the people that you're spilling the dysfunction over are those closest to you. So remember, we talked about prison like 2 weeks ago, right? And it's confinement. But the prison system's not built or equipped. Miss Susan, she's been grieving the dysfunction. Let it out. Because if you don't acknowledge the pain of the injury and the suffering of the illness, all you gonna do is keep going around this circle. Circle. So I love you guys. When I say I love y'all for real. Like Monique said, I love us for real, y'all. And I don't like to leave y'all on that note. That's why I was like, I need y'all to sit in the truth of knowing that it's not your fault. How often are we going to self-reflect? And self-reflection is power because it makes you self-aware. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, self-awareness. So you guys can literally go on latishaanderson.org and get the e-booklet. It's like, I think it's $5, and download it, and then you can take notes. It's places on there for you to take notes. It's listen, because y'all know I'm very visual. So it's like power versus empower. And you kind of there has to be a balance, because power gives you control over people and events. Empower gives you control over yourself. operate in empower, not simply power. Remember, dysfunction mimics certain things, so it can destroy the whole system. So you don't want just power. You want to be empowered, because empowerment makes you stronger and more confident, gaining control over your life and your rights. So until tomorrow, same time, same place, y'all. I was hoping that I could open this so that y'all can see the sunrise, but it didn't operate like that. But I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, Latisha Live. And remember, self-reflection is pain and power. Love you guys. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.